The Perils of Boating. I know quite a lot about this boat, we know the owners and that. Anyway, I'll tell you all about it. I won't bore you just showing the sunken boat, but it's still here, so bit of a wet day. I thought I'd come round, just had a word with someone. We used to come here, we're at Kirkstead Bridge. Right, that's what it is, Woodall. Anyway, what's happened over the last few years? I'll just tell you what's happened. So it's going to be one of those sort of videos, I'm afraid. Well, walk and talk video mainly. But there we are. That's what's happened if you take on a boat and you haven't got the funds. Bit of a shame because it's an old boat. But, you know, it'll now be broken up no doubt because they took it on without the funds to have a mooring and licence and the rest of it. But what's brought this on? You know, I was boating for 10 years. Well, just today I read that the CRT, now it's, you know, the government got rid of so-called quangos, and what they did, they made British Waterways, which was a quango, into a charity, which was the Canal and River Trust, which of course it's total con, what do you expect? But all they did was put some new managers in on more money and give the old people the jobs back on more money, so it's a quango that's cost more money, you know, but that's what you expect. Anyway, one thing that has happened that's gone slightly different is that the Canal and River Trust are more about getting money off people. And what it is, as I say, I read an article today in the paper, in the BBC News, that they're trying to get rid of so-called bridge hoppers. Well, what it is, these waters, I can just show you that one in the distance. Look, once again, see the river in the distance. Well, this is waterways, we call them waterways, it's CRT now. And if you're on this river, you have to have a licence and a permanent mooring and insurance. But if you're a continuous cruiser, which means if you continually cruise the canals and rivers, you're allowed to stay in one place for 2 weeks. However, a lot of them, and you don't have to pay an expensive mooring, you see, so a lot of them, they move up and down a stretch of river every couple of weeks, and as I say, they're known as bridge hoppers. Well, as I say, I read today, they now reinterpreted it that there's a family in there, you know, the kids go to school and they work there, and they've been up and down a 3-mile stretch or so, and now they said, no, you've got to move and not come back. And I think that, look, it used to state that you weren't allowed back to the same location for 6 months, I think it was, or something like that. Anyway, that's the situation. It's a bit of a wet day. Now I came out and it was quite nice. Anyway, I thought it'd just something of a bit of interest. So what I'll do, we've got to now move location back to Southbury, and I'll tell you a bit more of the story. Well, here we are at Southbury. That's Dunstan Fen the other side. This is 3/4 of an hour upstream from Kirkstead, from Woodall where we were. So we'll continue the saga of the waterways, which we know about. I should have actually called this video the Perils of Owning a Boat, not the Peril of a Boat, shouldn't I? But anyway. Well, what happened was, when I got my boat and could have it a year or two, and the moorings are expensive. Now, I'm half joking about people, but it's true. Now, in a canal, obviously, they've got to be dug out and maintained, you've got to supply the water and that. On a river, you haven't. And the Romans dug this out 2,000 years ago, and God provides the rain for free, which is falling steadily as we speak. So really, you have to pay 500 quid a year for a small boat to licence it on here, and 1,000 quid for one that size, you know. It's a bit extreme, isn't it? and the moorings are expensive. Now this is my friend's mooring, his little mooring, because in fact it's my friend with the Lanchester. He now rents this bank from the railway. This belongs to the railway, and he rents it from the bottom of the slipway up to that gate post there, and he comes and cuts the grass, look, and puts some little flower beds in and keeps it nice. And he's made these seats and tables, look, which are in keeping, aren't they? So it's a lovely spot in the summer. Anyway, to continue the saga of the waterways, as moorings are expensive, and they were unofficially very good to me, and they said I could be a continuous cruiser as I move about, so I paid my licence. You see, a lot of them don't bother with licences and they're a problem. Anyway, so what happened was I moved up and down, and now the other thing is, I can't show you just here, but if you look at Chapel, now if you get a private stretch of waterway, and there aren't any just local to show you, but just round that corner there are some gates onto the Delf, and that is not British Waterways, which is now CRT, Canal and River Trust. So you don't need a licence to go on there. So, and if you've got a marina, a private marina, boats don't need to be licensed as long as they don't go out on CRT waters. They don't need a licence. It's just a strange situation. Anyway, they allowed me to be a continuous cruiser for a year or two, and I took it out of the water, meaning I took it on my friend's mooring, which is not on CRT rivers, for the winter. Licensed it for 6 months, everyone was happy. And then I got a mooring, a proper mooring. Now if you have a proper mooring, you can officially stay at different places. Anyway, my boat was here. My old boat was here for a week or two. Now I was trying to sort it out one thing or another. I had a few problems at the time, as boats do. Mine was an old boat. I'll put a photograph up. I won't put videos. I'll put some pictures up of it. That's the best way, isn't it? And you'll see. Anyway, I did sell it, and 2 weeks afterwards, shortly after I sold it, now by the way, when I sold it, I informed them by letter, and I also informed them by telephone, so they didn't know. Anyway, after I sold it and dated the day afterwards, I got a letter to say, as a continuous cruiser, your boat's been here too long. They were wrong. I'm not a continuous cruiser. I had a permanent mooring. They said I was at Dunstan Fen. Well, that's Dunstan Fen, the other side of the river. This is Southery. So they were wrong again. And then they said my boat. Well, I just said it wasn't my boat. I'd sold it, and they knew. So anyway, I phoned them up, and I actually knew the woman in the office, and we had a bit of a chuckle about it. But if someone was that incompetent to work for me, they'd have got the sack, I tell you. But that's how it is. Anyway, as I say, I read a report today on the BBC News about they're having a purge on these so-called bridge hoppers. You know, and that's really why that boat that you've seen sunk at the start of this, it's there because they took that boat on without the necessary funds. It is a nice old boat and it's a shame, but so it's been moved up and down the river until finally someone's moved it and they can't look after it and it's sunk. So I imagine that in the end CRT will come along with a digger and a skip and break it up. It'll go in the skip and they'll get a large bill for removal of an obstruction. You know, that's how it is. But it's a lovely spot this is on a sunny day. It's not a sunny day today, but it's still a lovely spot. So it's just a bit of history, the waterways and how it works. which no one knows if you don't have a boat. You know, see what they want to do on this river, they want to see lined loads and loads of rich people's plastic gym palaces. That's what they want to see. And on the canals, of course, they want to see boats like that one here and that one over there that are licensed and have a mooring, you know, and are tidy, and people use them on nice days. That's what they want. They don't want the old style people that live on them, on these old boats and one thing or another. That's how it works. So there's a bit of a story of it. That is still a lovely view, even with a spot of rain, isn't it? Oh, and if you want to see some of the fun we've had on this slipway, taking boats in and out, we haven't for a year or two, as you can see. And this is where I launched my first boat. How not to launch a boat. If you haven't seen it, have a look at that. It's quite fun. That was before Roy had it. You know, it was open. There was no gates here and everything, and it was open. We knew about it. That was my first taste of boating, which my mates made sure it didn't go right. But we've had some fun here anyway. And a few nice nights. But look, he's been here, look. He's got his garden quite nice, hasn't he? You know, got his sweet peas and plants in, see? So as I say, even on a bad day, it's still a decent pastime boating, only it's just not, sometimes it's not fun having a boat. Oh, anyway, lastly, about my last boat. Now this is how CRT have changed to getting as much tax as possible. Because I sold my last boat, a small one, and again I've got some, I'll just put a photograph up. And it more, a year, 18 months later. Now I knew when I sold it, the lad, a little tiny boat, and he took it, it was quite amusing really, he took it to live on. With a girlfriend and a large dog and rabbits and guinea pigs, and a little tiny boat. Oh, don't know how they managed, anyway they did. And I went up to York, somehow he got it to York. I'll never understand how. Anyway, got this phone call. Oh, it's Canal and River Trust here. You've got a boat up in York Marina that's washed over the bank. Well, when it floods, now York Marina, by the way, there's 5 of them I think, but there's a short stretch, about a 2-mile stretch of non-tidal river on the Ouse from York down to Naban Lock. And we went up to have a look to see if we could find it. We couldn't. Anyway, a day or two later I thought I want to get to the bottom of this. Really, it isn't there. And he said, well, he says, I said, well, I'm sorry, you know, I sold it, I can't remember who it was. And so I talked to them quite nicely for a few moments. Anyway, it transpired they did know the owner, and they didn't know where the boat was because it was in their compound on Section 8, meaning they'd seized it for non-licence. So, and they're a bit snide. This is what I'm talking about. They are a little bit snide. Because what happened was, he hadn't, of course, paid any moorings. And even though they knew it wasn't my boat, they tried to get me to pay for 2 years mooring, for back mooring fees. So that's a bit naughty. You've got to agree with that. That's a bit naughty. Anyway, that's plenty long enough video. I thought I'd just show you another nice little spot of England's green and pleasant land, even though the sun isn't shining. Alright, talk to you later. Cheers.